This is the FRC Roundtable, coming to you all the way from Minnesota. Your host team 2052 Nightcrawler presents this weekly FRC gathering where FIRST robotics competition teams take cooperation off the field. Share your knowledge, give and get advice, solve a challenge, or celebrate what makes your team special. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, it is recording. Welcome, everyone. So a little bit of backstory about how things happened tonight. I was running around EMCC yesterday, and I was kind of half joking, half serious, prodding people, saying, "Hey, how would you like to host the call tomorrow night so I don't have to pick a topic?" And I walked up to Jeremy and I said that while he was standing with the rest of the other Gears people on the team. And he's like, "You know what? Yeah, we will do it. We'll do it. I don't know what we're going to do for a topic, but we will take the slack." So I super appreciate Jeremy jumping in here with absolutely kind of no warning at all and coming up with something. So super appreciate that. And if anyone else is interested in signing up for a topic, please do. So I also talked to a lot of people about the roundtable yesterday, and I got 3 interesting pieces of advice. One was that there's not enough students, which I agree. It would be great to have more students. So if you can get more students on the call, that would be great. But part of that perception is that we do have students on the call, but they don't turn their cameras on. So if you're a student and you're willing to turn your cameras on, it would help, because I know that the mentors end up, especially me, and that's a fault of mine, I consume a lot of the conversation. But if you are a student and if you're willing to turn your camera on, we'd really appreciate it to show that there actually are students on the call, and then chime in, please, and be part of the conversation. And then the last thing is that people were super excited about the whole get to know this team. The No Mythic one went fantastic and people really liked it. And those who haven't seen it yet, I told them to go watch the replay on YouTube. And so many of them said, "I love that idea. I think that's a great idea. I'd love to hear more about how different teams operate." So please, everybody on the call, except for No Mythic, because they've already gone. But if you're interested in willing to have your students basically give the same presentation that you give to a sponsor, and then be willing to take some Q&A, I mean, hopefully you don't feel like it takes a lot to do that, because lots of people were really excited about the ideas, and those that did see the call with No Mythic or watched the replay really enjoyed it. So please, even those watching on YouTube, please consider signing up, because a lot of people are very interested in that kind of a presentation. All right, with that, Jeremy, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Thanks. That's definitely how I remember the conversation going. Yeah, we're super excited to present here. I will share my screen and do the slideshow thing. There we go. My name's Jeremy. I'm the head coach of the Blaine High School robotics team. We are Gears in all caps, not an acronym. We are just Gears. It used to be an acronym, but we did a brand rebrand, which we'll talk about at some point here. There are some people here from the team. If you want to unmute and ideally turn your camera on, if it's possible, that'd be great if you could do that.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm Charlie. I'm an 11th grader on the Blaine team. Yeah.
I'm Sam. I am a senior, and I'm one of the captains this year.
And we
I
have
another mentor. Yeah, Dan's still here.
Yep.
Oh,
Hi.
there you are.
Yep. Turned off my camera for a bit. Some allergy issues tonight, so we're cleaning. I'm Dan Johnson. I'm also one of the mentors. I'm new this year because my son Gavin is a sophomore on the team. So.
And we appreciate it. So our plan is we're not going to. Anyway, we're not going to spend the whole time talking about our team, but we do want to just give some information. We'll talk about it, but we had a lot of changes post-COVID with leadership on the team and just team participation and all of that. So we don't feel like we're new kids on the block with a team number of 2181, but at the same time, we feel like we're we feel like kind of a rookie or like a newer team. So we just wanted to do some introductions on that. A big part of the meeting, I was hoping to spend talking about how we do our budgeting process, how we did at least this year, and maybe have some discussion with other teams about how they did it. Because that's just a huge, we all know that's a huge part of how all this works. And then I had just a couple questions about sponsor communication if we have time for it. But that is the plan. So who is Gears? I'm kind of throwing this at Sam or Charlie. Do you want to either read through a little bit or tell us a little bit about Blaine High School, what you know about it, your experiences with it?
Yeah, I can do that. I'm just going to kind of read off the slide first, and I'll fill in with whatever else is not on here. But there's over 3,000 students in Blaine High School. It seems like a lot more. It's a very big high school. We pull from Blaine, Ham Lake, Coon Rapids, Lion Lake, Spring Lake Park, and Andover. The big draw to the school is the SEMS program, which is the Center for Engineering, Math, and Science. And then our kind
Can
of
one of you, sorry to interrupt. Can one of
Yeah,
you
you're
talk a
fine.
little bit more? What is SEMS? Like, what does that mean
sure.
for a student basis?
Charlie's in it, so I'm gonna let Charlie do that.
Yeah, SEMS is basically a program. It's for engineers. You do like special English class for SEMS. You have various extra electives for. There's like an aerospace one, a civil engineering one. There's one for basically every engineering career you can do. It basically, just gets you going for the engineering field. And yeah.
Does a team member on the robotics team have to be in the SEMS curriculum?
No.
Right.
You do not need to be in SEMS, anybody. Sam isn't in SEMS, so, and he's
Right.
here.
And
But
I
a
would
lot of-
say maybe half, if not more, are from SEMS because they enjoy that sort of program and activity. Yeah. I'm just going to continue on then.
Yep.
We have 2 closets that are our space to store all our tools and robot and parts. And then we work in a computer lab and the metal shop mostly. We have we have a good amount of fabrication on site. 3D printer, we have one. And then we have mini drill presses. We have mills. We have CNC mills. We have a plasma. We have a CNC router. We have a bunch of bending tools in the metal shop. Last year we had to outsource our plate cutting for our sheet material. The CNC plasma does not work very well, so we are tuning in our CNC router to cut our aluminum sheet material for us this year. And then we've invested quite a lot into power tools this last year. Milwaukee is what we've been investing into. And then we really don't have much for a practice area. There's a small area that we can throw out a small section of carpet and practice on, but that's about it. I suppose we have gone to the library recently, which is kind of a newer thing that we've discovered. Yeah.
We need to do a better job of planning that in advance. I got kind of a nasty gram the next morning because we didn't ask permission ahead of time. So I was going for the ask for forgiveness afterwards, but you can only do that so many times. So anyway, so that's a little bit about Blaine High School, just kind of like that part of it. As far as the Blaine community, we're part of Anoka Hennepin School District. That's with cards 7850. Butler Bots 4664 in Andover High School and 2224 out of Champlain Park High School. We're part of Anoka County, which has its own, flavor. Every county is a little bit different. Being from this area definitely has some advantages, have a few disadvantages possibly, but that is where we're from. And then we have a booster club that operated in the late 2010s. Because of COVID, it stopped being managed essentially. So we had to redo all of the tax information, everything, the last 2 years. That's been a big lift for some of our engaged parents and stuff, which has been amazing that we got that all set up. So the school doesn't provide any direct financial support other than a coach salary, but which is great. So not saying that that's not great, but almost all of the funding for the club and or the team goes through the Booster Club. So any questions so far, or anything, any comments that people have? We have one more slide that will have a lot more to discuss, but anything so far? Yes, Scott?
So you mentioned your practice space. Didn't you guys have a really good 4-note auto at competition last year with what sounds like no practice space?
We did use the library a little bit last year to practice that, but Path Planner, I mean, we got lucky with Path Planner, and I wouldn't say lucky, but we use Path Planner, which automatically set it up into a pretty good spot.
Nice. Well done.
I know some teams have used, a lot of have resorted to using a lot of simulation and stuff like that. And I think Path Planner kind of falls in that same zone. Yeah, Tom.
So you list the 4 schools. So there's 4 high schools in the district. Are there any high schools that don't have a team?
Sam or Charlie? Do you know?
I do not.
I mean, I know the ones that do: Coon Rapids, Blaine, ourselves, and then Champlain Park.
And Andover. And the one that's missing is Anoka,
Andover.
Tom. Anoka High School.
I believe Anoka does.
Right. Yep. Hello, David. Coon Rapids. Right.
Anoka is restarting their team this year, I heard.
Oh, they are?
I heard that Anoka is restarting, and they got a 1,000 number. So their new number, I guess. So yeah, I heard that on the Coaches Association board meeting last week that Anoka was restarting because they did not survive COVID, I guess. But it sounds like they're restarting a team. Could be wrong about that. Maybe I got the wrong school, but I thought it was Anoka, and all 3 teams have a 1,000 number. So we're into the thousands.
Or do you mean the 10,000s or the thousands?
Yeah, 10,000.
Sorry,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry, 10,000s.
Yeah,
A five-digit number.
Wasn't Anoka 2232?
Yeah, they used it. Yes, I looked
used-
it up on Blue Alliance, and
Yeah.
I was told that they were getting a new number. Dang it, where was that? I can check, but I'll check and see if I can dig that up while we have the rest of this meeting.
What's your question, Tom?
I wanted to check. You mentioned COVID, and I don't remember exactly what you said. Has there been any continuity? Anybody who was involved before COVID that still is, which likely implies adult? I'm just kind of curious.
We had another coach, Justin, who helped mentor the team before COVID for a year, I think 2 years, I think. And he was head coach of the team for a few years after COVID, but he has since moved over to the Coon Rapids team. So
there was some continuity through it. I ask because
a little bit.
Okay, fair enough. I ask because I think 2549 at Washburn in Minneapolis, we're fairly amnesia. We've got kind of amnesia about what life was like before COVID.
Yeah, Justin was the team historian and downloaded a lot of that information to Sam and me and some of the other parents. And we have some records from the team before, but a lot of it was restarted just because of exactly what you're talking about with the adult continuity did get kind of fractured over COVID. So that is a good comment. Yeah, and that's part of here's the next slide. We went from 6 to 8 or 9 students. Is that right? Sam was a freshman on the team in 2022. So
Yeah, about that. Probably about not less showed up regularly, and then there were probably about 10 total registered. And we've grown since then to have 30 registered, probably 15 regularly. Last week it was closer to 20, right, Jeremy?
yeah, we were over 20 last week.
we were over 20. So we've grown quite a lot since I first started my freshman year.
Yeah, and there are a few parts of that. I think I'm skipping a couple bullet points, but the regular meeting times have really helped. I think it was a little bit in 2022, and maybe before it was a little bit. The meeting times were not exactly as consistent, so we've tried to just pick the same time, the same day, as much as we possibly can, and that really helps with attendance and recruiting people. We did go through a rebranding process for our logo and team colors and just all of that. This was last fall. The students did some rough designs, and as a team, we voted on kind of those rough designs. And one of my best friends is a graphic designer, so we had her come in, talk with the students about how it's done, and then worked with the students to pick specific colors and a logo that was official and icons and all that stuff. So. And that helped just, again, it was this post-COVID restructuring is the way we're kind of talking about it. But having a new brand and just a new way to know who we are is so important. So, and then communication, we use Discord for students. We have a Band, it's called Band app for parents, but we also try and send out at least monthly emails to all the parents, but sometimes more like weekly, depending on how busy we are. Just talking about what we're up to, what's on the horizon, stuff like that. And then we do have a website with a Google Calendar on it, which I legitimately stole from Nightcrawler. So thanks, Nightcrawler. Yeah, Caleb.
So like we use Slack instead of Discord, and it's like blocked on our school Wi-Fi. So is Discord also blocked for you guys on your school Wi-Fi? Do you have problems communicating in school?
Charlie or Sam?
No, it is not. We can log on. I'm not sure for Charlie, might be able to check, but for the Chromebooks that they hand out, I'm not sure, but all the computers in the computer lab we work on, you can log on to Discord.
Yeah,
And
it's not network blocked. It's just device
Yeah.
blocked on the actual school issued computers, Chromebooks.
But
So we're fortunate for that. And if Discord was universally blocked, we might have to think about something else for the communication, because that's really important. Even during a meeting, sometimes Charlie will post a CAD file in Discord so that someone else can download it on a different computer or whatever. So we're lucky for that. Dominic, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, do you have mentors as part of that Discord server as well? Because I know some teams use Discord, but then it's only for students, not mentors.
Sam?
We have all of our mentors and coaches a part of our server, and actually Jeremy is the head of the server. I don't think we've ever had a just student server. I mean, we could, but I don't see a need for that. Yeah.
Yeah, and if we need to do we do follow YPP protocols. If we need to have communication with a student, we either honestly sometimes email them with all the mentors, CC'd, or at least one adult CC'd on it, so that there's at least two adults on any communication with a student. On Discord, we also sometimes just make a private channel that's like just for the adults and the one student if we need to. So there are ways to use Discord, and I know there's a whole conversation on Chief Delphi about this, so I don't want I'm trying to not get into the weeds of it, but there are ways to do it and still be as close to YPP as you possibly can. And we're aware of, we're aware of that, and we do everything we can to be close to that. If there are no other comments on that, welcome them. The second to last bullet point here, keep it simple, silly design method. We've tried to make robots that are easy or as quick to build as possible so that we can try and use some practice time or, really focus on autonomous and things like that. So, a robot this year was just some rollers essentially. It was like a straight line in some ways. It was a fixed shooter, straight line. All used compliance wheels everywhere, compliant wheels on every single piece of it, for repair, maintenance reasons, and just it's fast to build.
Simple yet
and
effective.
Yeah, there you go. That's the goal that we shoot for, and that does have a ceiling, and we're aware of that, but we want to hit our ceiling as opposed to making a ceiling that we can never achieve given our resources that we have. So we went from 2 mentors in 2022 to 6-ish. Currently, we're doing everything we can to try and get more, especially with how many students we're recruiting. Are excited about the program. We need more adults, and we're working on it. So, shout out to Dan for joining the group. Yeah, Sam.
I was gonna ask maybe for your team captains, how's that gone? Like seeing the team expand, how's that growth gone? Any growing pains or anything you guys have come up with to kind of smooth that over?
I do have to say it is kind of hard. My freshman year, I'm not gonna be honest, I was kind of the star. Not trying to toot my own horn, but I was the only one that knew the metal shop stuff. So all of anything that needed to get cut or designed or made, that was all me. And it was just a couple other students. Sometimes it was me and one other student at a meeting. So, it's kind of hard going from doing everything to having to delegate and not just do and teach. Yeah. Not sure if that was exactly what you're looking for, but.
Yeah, no, it was a good answer. Thanks.
I'm curious, what does your student leadership structure look like? How do you guys divide up your work? Do you have sub teams, captains? Can you tell us more about how your student leadership works?
Yeah, so we have 2 captains this year, myself and then a junior named Matthew. And then beyond that, we sub teams. We do have sub teams. We do have leads for those sub teams. They're not. What am I trying to say here? They're not as like
rigid, locked in.
Yeah, they're not as rigid or locked in. They're kind of loose, which is kind of nice. It gives freedom to move around to different subgroups. You're not, straight into one subgroup. We could implement more of you're in a subgroup and that's just your kind of specialty. But we really haven't done that at all.
Partly because we haven't needed to with the team size we've had. There is a threshold of number of members that you have to then start really specializing. You can't have 40 people just every day. Nobody knows who's doing what, and it's just based on how you're feeling. So we're aware that there is a point that will kind of force that issue, and maybe we're close to that now. I'm not sure, but it's been really fun doing the mini trials of robots, and people have just been bouncing around. One time they're working on the drivetrain, another time they're making buttons, another time we just started on our electrical boards for the mini trials robots. So I think some students have enjoyed that freedom, and it's nice for 9th graders or 10th graders who don't have any experience in any of this to at least get a flavor for each thing and then slowly find their way into whatever they like to do. But again, at a certain point, that is not probably going to be that possible. So, any other questions? This was kind of the end of our meet the gears part. So, but we can talk more about any of it if people have interest. So.
Yeah, I have one more. I was kind of curious what your guys' goals are for the season. Have you gone through that process yet, or?
That is part of our budgeting process, the next few slides. So that is a great question. And that is coming up.
All right, I'll wait.
Yeah, Stacy.
Hi, I'm interested in how with your growth in the student group, how you've arranged some of the training. That's something that 2472 is working through right now. We went from 30 last year to 50 for the pre-build season, and trying to make sure that everybody's engaged. And we certainly took some feedback from last year where not everybody felt engaged through the season or the pre-build, and then a few dropped off. So we're trying to be more organized on that, but always interested in picking up nuggets from other teams on how they've, it's a good thing, but you're like, there are 50 kids when there used to be like 30 kids, and fairly consistently engaged so far.
Sam or Charlie, do you want to talk about kind of how we approached last year versus how we're doing it this year? Maybe you don't know where I'm leading you.
Charlie. Yeah. What do you mean?
Well, last year we did quite a few PowerPoints, and we tried to do more like I would call it classroom type learning. Maybe. Am I saying the right thing, Charlie and Sam?
Yeah. I mean, we started off at the beginning by doing a station rotation, so everyone could get their interests and figure out what they want to focus on. So it was 15 minutes at electrical, and then there were all the other subgroups, and you all just got a little bit of a taste, and then that helps kind of what do you want to do, and then you get a scope of how many you're teaching, and how many you're teaching might change how you teach. If it's a big group, you might have to do more of a classroom style teaching, where if it's 2 people interested, you could just kind of mentor them while they're at your side.
And this year we're kind of eschewing that for hands-on learning with mini trials. I mean, we haven't done really any true PowerPoints or anything. It's all just figure it out as we go, kind of. I don't know. Does that sound right to you two?
Yeah, and I think especially for the metal shop, there's a lot of safety stuff involved. So later past mini trials, we'll probably do some more actual teaching safety to really go through this stuff. We're not getting involved in anything super complicated, so there hasn't been a need for that much. Otherwise, it's just been if you don't know how to use a tool or anything, or you don't know how to, you just ask, and then we'll give you the information.
Yeah, kind of on an as needed basis. But we don't have 50, so that's I apologize. I personally don't have a lot of advice for that. Maybe somebody else does. But yeah, last year we got feedback that was the classroom style teaching, or like what's the point, was sort of the question that was asked a lot last year. Like, why am I making an electrical board that will never go on a robot and never actually be used? So this year we're doing 2 mini trials teams so that more people get more hands-on, like actually building something that will actually compete. And I can say the 2 meetings we had about strategy and how to read the rules and that sort of thing were incredible. And like, we did a mock kickoff last year, and that was pretty good, but there's so much more investment when they know that there's going to be a robot competing with the rules that they're practicing with. So shout out to Hopkins for doing mini trials. It's even just the few meetings we've had have been really, really great, and at least in my opinion. And Sam's nodding, so thank you for confirming. Does anybody else have any other ideas about training? I don't want to dominate the conversation.
I know we're trying to work with our division captains to come up with things that we don't always have 100% consistent attendance. So you might have 4 or 5 new people on your division, and some can call all the time. Others are in a sport, or they're in band, or trying to keep everybody moving. And they started a show robot over the summer, t-shirt cannon. So they've kind of been working on that as a tangible, hands-on project, and anxiously awaiting motors, which came last week. So now they have some Krakens to work with.
That's awesome. I know somebody on our team, Sam, who would really love to have a t-shirt cannon robot. I bet.
This is
Sam would just want to use it
for the
as
kids for a while, and our CAD mentor, whose student was on the team last year, but is now going to a different charter school. But he's remained with the team, and so he's all in and helping them get to this goal.
I will share as a mentor with experience with t-shirt cannon robots. It's a project that never ends. Never ever ends. It's an albatross. Good luck. I hope you guys have great success.
Is that a maintenance thing, Scott? Or just
it can become a maintenance thing. One of our very, very talented and very ingenious build students decided to turn our t-shirt cannon into a 6 rotary style t-shirt cannon, where like the barrel separates and the chamber rotates and then locks back in place. And that's a very finicky and picky mechanism that has gone through several iterations. If you stick with a single barrel robot, may have better luck. We're actually now, Caleb, was Caleb still on the call? Caleb, you want to share with what the latest iteration of our t-shirt cannon robot is?
Yeah, we didn't finish it yet, but over the summer we had Isaac, our CAD CAM lead. He designed like 6-inch pneumatic tire swerve, and then we're gonna build a chassis with that and put a t-shirt cannon on that used flywheels. And so we got pretty far into prototyping, and then school started, and that kind of slowed down. So it'll be next summer too, and then probably the summer after that, and then we'll pass it on.
6-inch pneumatic swerve? I feel like my ears broke hearing that.
Yeah, it's quite the thing that Isaac came up with.
Eric, you had your hand up. Did you have a comment?
Yeah, this Eric Talon. We've stuck with the wearable t-shirt cannons, and that's become very popular at our football games and anything. So it's been more manageable over the years, and kids really get off on it by wearing it and shooting from it. So a different alternative.
Is it like a backpack, or does it shoot from the front or the back?
Well, I have tubes, but it's heavy, so it hangs from a shoulder harness. You wear it.
Oh, okay.
So it has the compressor on it, the battery, everything. So it's got a bit of weight, but you wear it on your on your shoulders, holding it up. And then the cannon itself, I don't know if they've gone to one. We had 2 where they're sort of on your arms. You hold it like a pistol grip.
Oh, yeah.
And then preload. And but as I said, we've had a lot of requests at games to bring it. But as I said, haven't gotten anything to robot stage. But I said that's been very popular with our team over years, and sort of an outreach in the school.
Do you have any documentation on it, or like a picture or something anywhere?
Oh gosh, I'd have to ask the kids. I don't have it documented at all. I mean, it's sort of put together, but yeah. We just had our Eden Prairie 100th year of school, and they had a parade, and I'm sure they have pictures there of it. It was taken, and I'd have to
I'll look it up. Yeah, I'll look it up.
There, but as I said, it's a popular thing that kids sort of fight over who's going to wear it, and then it's sort of also team getting the team together, because before you have to practice with it. So they get together and teach each other how to use it. So anyway, that's an alternative that they keep going. Just is different than trying to get a robot that running.
I will say, I mean, I make a lot of jokes about the t-shirt cannon robot, but before we had our t-shirt cannon robot, I would often hear from students at the high school who weren't part of robotics to say, wait, we have a robotics team. And once we start wheeling out our t-shirt cannon robot at homecoming and football games and volleyball games, there's no question in the school anymore whether we have a robotics team or not. So it is a fantastic recruiting tool, and it definitely can, like Eric said, become very popular. Everyone knows all about it. So it's a worthwhile project. You just have to be careful about how much you bite off when attempting to build one.
That makes sense. Well, I'm already dreaming up a shoulder harness with a tube like on the shoulder, looking like Megatron or Optimus Prime or something. So that is already going through my head. If people have other things to talk about, we don't have to do any of these slides. So anyway, if there's anything else, just feel free to shout it out. But I was just going to talk about kind of how we did our budget the last 2 years. And then I have some questions for other teams if they want to share. So some caveats from the very beginning. This is only our second year doing it this way. We do not plan to. We would attend Worlds, so don't read that sentence as like we don't plan to ever attend Worlds. But we, as a team, don't budget for it from the very beginning because we've only ever gone once in our team history. So it's just not that we'll have to figure out if it happens. Not like some other teams have to budget for that from the very beginning. It's all guesstimating ultimately. You do your best you can, but the number of students we're going to have on the team, how much fundraising we have, we have some ideas, but ultimately it's going to be guesstimating. And every team is different, and every community is different. So again, just caveats that what works for us might not work for anybody else. So here's a little bit of a drawing of, and there's an arrow meaning this will restart. We're going to start with the season debrief. That kind of kickstarts this whole process, and then we come back to it. But this is the important part, talking as a team at the end of the season. I have slides about each of these, so I'm not going to say that much. Our team, we've referred to them as level ups. Otherwise, team goals as far as budget wise, there's team goals, which are separate from the team level ups. And then we have our booster and team meetings over the summer, and then we do work throughout the season. So that's kind of the cycle that we go through. So we start with our season debrief in April or May or whenever we're done with competitions. As soon as possible after competitions, once people have had a break, but also, doing this months after, you lose a lot of the initial thoughts and feelings you have at the end of a regional or state or Worlds. Everybody on the team, mentors and students, write down their individual achievements and team achievements and things to work on. I think I'm not sharing this correctly because it's only sharing this tab. So I think if I click on this, it won't share the tab. Oh, there we go. Share this tab instead. This is what we used last year. It's rough. This is not like rocket science here, but 2 or 3 things you are proud of individually, areas of improvement, team goal, and a goal for yourself. And then 2 or 3 things we can do this spring. We last year only competed at Duluth because of waitlist and other things. We ended up only doing 1 competition. So we had a lot of time in the spring to work. Other teams who have longer competition seasons, this might be a different question, but this is kind of where we started from for reflection. Do any other teams do do any kind of season debrief or in small groups and individually, anything like that, and want to talk about it? Yeah, Dominic?
Yeah, so 2491 No Mythic. We have a team meeting after each of our competitions, which is sort of saying like, how did you feel about it, debrief, and then if it's not the last competition of the year, we also do like a what do we want to do next competition. We don't really do that much of like a full season debrief as a full team. There's definitely like individuals like thinking about it, but then a lot of the sort of goal setting happens in the fall. We do a lot of retreats. That's like looking back and being like, okay, these are the things we want to work on, but we don't really have any. And so maybe we'll start doing it this year with thinking more immediately after the season ends.
Yeah, Stacy. I don't have to call on people. If you have your sorry, I feel like I'm micromanaging. Sorry.
Nope, that's all right. I just want to be talking over people. 27 or 2472 last year really had been and continuing to this year been working on more of reflections and more trying to implement an agile process in with the team to be thinking of things at a more granular level, and taking all that feedback from everybody and kind of an expectation that there is some feedback from everybody, because everybody, whether you're the one who's going to talk in front of the room or just someone who's more quiet and behind the scenes, has something to add and sees it from a different way. So we're really trying to be inclusive for that standpoint. And we had that after every major tournament, probably a little bit more of a change. Last year was probably our best bot performance year that we've had since my oldest kid was in high school. So it's been a while. And trying to focus on just a couple of things at a time, because you can't change everything, but being a little bit more specific and what can we do with the materials, with the people, with the time that we have. How do you want to allocate those resources, and really asking students to be more thoughtful on that.
Do you do that as a worksheet or as like a Google form, or just as a large group and someone's taking notes? Like how what's the I'm being a little granular, but what's the process?
It was a combination. So they start at the division level and then roll that on up, and then keeping notes on that. Some of the things they want to do wind up going onto the to-do or the backlog list. And then the mentors do things separately, and then we bring it together. A lot of start, stop, can continue type things too. And so we try and root out some of the behavior that we don't want to see from the students and from the mentors for that standpoint too, and trying to make sure we're all on the same page. We had more mentors last year than we've ever had before, which is great, but also when you had like 3 coaches, there's 3 people to be consulting and not like 9 or 10. So working our way through that, and I feel we're better posed this year. We worked on this last year, and now it's a little bit more of the culture. It's not seamless by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it's on the right path, and I think it will help the students be more successful. And when they see that, then it's going to become more fun. In the moment, it's not, but we will get there. And we had them try and plan a meal for the leadership team, just the division captains and stuff, and then go to a mentor's house and cook it. And it was like chaos, semi-controlled, just like, did you QC that? And like all of these things, and what's the sex criteria? And it was hilarious. I encourage you, to try that just as a team building activity with your own groups. Did everybody bring the right materials, and these type of things, and what did we not capture that we should have beforehand? And, we all eat, so it's a good way to celebrate together at the end of the evening.
That is an incredible idea. I love that idea. David, you had your hand up?
Yeah, so what we do is we actually kind of do a large meeting at the end of any competition, whether it be, Roseville, preseason stuff or week 0 of roses and thorns and buds, if you're familiar with it. So basically something that you liked, something you didn't like, something that you see growing into something. As a group, go around, have each student present all 3 and make good notes. And then the captains meet with the mentors after that. And kind of, okay, how can we foster this? How can we make it grow? How can we improve?
Yeah, I completely forgot. But what some of Stacy was saying reminded me. We also on No Mythic, we also do a lot of reflecting through our captain's nominations process. And so part of that is everyone who accepts a nomination to be a captain gets, I think it's 2 minutes to speak on like what they would do as a captain, why they think they would be a good captain, and then a couple minutes of questions. And so that's really helpful as well of thinking like, okay, where are people's priorities lying for how they want to improve the team. And then we also end the year with mentor interviews of all of the returning students, which is sort of saying, what are your plans for next year? How did you feel about this year? All those sort of things. And so those are really helpful as well. That slipped my mind that we did those.
How do you, I know I'm so granular and I don't mean to be that way, but how do you schedule that? Like, is the team doing things and then you're pulling people in one at a time, or are you?
No, these are virtual interviews. We have where we have mentor slots and student slots. And so then mentors sign up 2 mentors to a student. I think we had 22 returning students this year. And so I think it was like 3 or 4 evenings worth of interviews. Each one's only like 20 minutes. And so, yeah.
Awesome. That's a really good idea. I love that idea. So in that diagram, the next kind of point on the way we do it, at least, is our team levels ups. So again, these are more like budget related things. They're related to the team goals, but they're more like budget. How does the budget interact with the team goals that we have? Sam or Charlie, do you want to discuss any of the level ups? I put them on the right hand side here.
Yeah. So like, you can go, Sam.
No, you go first, Charlie.
I know what you're gonna explain. Like for mechanical, we had wood shop. We were using the wood shop tools, and then stuff happened with that, so we weren't able to use those. So we had to buy all of our own tools, so we weren't using their impacts and stuff. So now we bought all our own impacts. Got Vortex motors this year. Way better than the Neos. No more belts. I don't know what you mean by prototyping, Jeremy.
I think the router is what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a CNC router that we're trying to figure out how to use, make more faster, more accurate prototyping, get a little more CAD practice at using that too. I don't know, Sam, if you want to talk about controls.
Sure. We just got a Limelight this year, which we'd like to implement into some vision tracking. We've experienced with our auto hitting another robot and getting knocked off course, and we'd really like that correction so that one minor thing doesn't affect the whole autonomous program. Yeah. And then flex motor controllers. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what that is. I'm not sure.
They go with the Vortex. the vortex motors.
Cool. And then battery management. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but we got a battery beak this year.
That's what it means.
I don't know. I wasn't sure because we also need a new. We need to figure out a better way to store batteries too because it's just not great. So I wasn't sure if that's what you were meaning. Also, because when I hear battery management, that means like I don't know. Okay, never mind. Doesn't matter. But we got a battery beak. We need to figure out a better way to store batteries also. I guess I can do BAM too. We would like to submit all the different awards. The past 3 years, we haven't been. Well, my first freshman year, we didn't submit for any awards. I don't think my sophomore year we did either. I could be wrong, but I don't think we did. Is that correct, Jeremy?
Yeah, we haven't submitted any of the some actual submission awards. We've obviously gone for the robot awards and things like that, but we really want to go for all the other ones. So
we haven't had much of a BAM sub team yet, which we've started to work on last year and has really improved into this year.
For those who don't know, BAM means business and media or business awards media, depending on who writes it. But
yeah. And then we would also like to continue with or rebranding. I think we like our design, but we could also make different designs. We could go beyond just t-shirts and sweatshirts. That's what we did last year. We could go on to backpacks, hats, whatever else we wanted to. And then scouting, that's something else. Scouting has not been what it should be since my freshman year. This last year was okay. It was an improvement from a sophomore year. But we really want to start from scratch and get a good way to scout. I'm not sure what that is. If anyone else has any suggestions for scouting, for listening.
We were hoping to try and make some sort of like app or something where you could. Network gets weird at competitions, so I don't know, some sort of app or spreadsheet, something to organize everything. I don't know. Last competition, we had some people writing it down on note, but I don't even know what was going on. It was pretty chaos.
The notebooks worked really well at Roseville. For whatever it's worth, they worked really well. Dan, did you have a comment on this? I saw you.
Yeah, things kind of. I felt like things really kind of came together well at Roseville with the notebooks, but we were also talking, at least Gavin and Caden and I were talking afterwards about wanting to try and put together some sort of map. And Nathan and I, Nathan's one of our other mentors, have been talking about trying to get maybe the programming team and the strategy team together to brainstorm some ideas and talk through some things. And see
and when we say start from scratch, I mean, we were starting from notebook, and I think that that's actually part of the starting from scratch is like, how do we want this to look on a paper? Because that can translate to a computer, but just going straight to the computer, sometimes you don't know what you want until you can see it otherwise. So.
And it also gives us an opportunity to teach some programming to some of the students, not only to be the kids that want to do the programming side of things, but also pretty much anybody else who's interested, because this would be outside of just programming a robot. This would be potentially building a user interface.
Dominic, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I mean, I am sort of half of the scouting lead on a Mythic, and we previously have done Google Forms and Google Sheets, and I think this year we're going to take a page out of Technocrats and switch over to QR Scout. We're going to try that at mini trials. So if any of y'all are going to mini trials and want to have your students try out scouting, we hopefully will have a system there. And then another question I had outside of scouting was, how do you with these level ups, I noticed that a lot of the like mechanical and controls cost money, and then like the BAM and scouting don't. And so one issue we've had last year is we have a grant every year that is for shop improvements. And a couple of our students really wanted a camera, but things didn't work out. And so sort of how do you balance the budget between, build gets all of this new stuff and BAM doesn't get all of these new stuff? How do you sort of balance that out and make everyone feel like they, can still get new things and all that thing?
Again, I'm referring to the caveat. Not every team is like ours. Our BAM and scouting sub teams are new, so I would say there aren't those feelings about the budget, just because they are kind of newer areas for us. That is a great question. I don't know if anybody else has an answer. I don't know how I'd approach that, I guess. You stumped me. I'd have to think about that one. But if someone else has an answer for that, I would love to hear it.
Last year we decided after the budget was baked, the team really thought that they wanted their own 3D printer. And so one of our fundraisers, that was the goal, to raise enough money to buy a 3D printer, in between what they raised and a match from somebody that we were able to buy a bamboo that is just dedicated to our team. We were having some struggles with the ones at the school, where if there were other projects that were classroom related, our parts were getting backburnered. And because of the proprietary filament and things, it was getting rather expensive. So that way they put more of their efforts into fundraising for one particular thing. We've also been pretty lucky when there's been an ask. There's been parents or some other sponsors who have been able to come through with some things too. But we've been pretty lucky with the tools and things at school, the CNCs and the mills and presses. The school got a grant from Haas for some of that equipment and things too. So, and that's been a big, area emphasis with Centennial. So we kind of benefit by being able to utilize that equipment and not having to own everything ourselves. So we've put more on, last year was the first year that we didn't have to cannibalize last year's robot, just to get parts and motors and things like that. So we're just probably into year 4 now of a booster club and being able to have some of that money ahead of time. And now I think we've got most of what we want for the season, at least so far, until we know what the game is and extra parts we'll need. And that has been really helpful to try and make sure that each group is getting something and it's not all build or mechanical or electrical, trying to space some of that, the spend out. We did buy a couple more laptops this year. With more people in programming, we needed something for them to do. Unfortunately, we had some cash. We had a lot in last spring when we went to Worlds, and then the school stepped up unexpectedly and helped cover our bus to Houston, which would wound up being $20,000 that the boosters didn't need to raise. And so we're carrying some of that over and also making some of those investments for the kids too. It's good if they have just one thing they're focusing on at a fundraiser, then they can talk to people about that as, hey, we're trying to raise money for this specific thing, and this is how it's going to help us, and this is what we do. Makes them a little more focused in their message.
Scott, did you want to highlight the link you shared or no?
Sorry, I was muted this whole time. Sorry. going back to the scouting question. So Nightcrawler many years ago, developed FRC Crawler, which is an Android app. We buy $30 Fire tablets, and we have 6 tablets, so 3 red, 3 blue, and then we usually have a primary tablet, which is sort of all the data syncs to that tablet, and then we have a backup tablet. So we bought 8 $30 tablets, so we'd have a backup, and then we'd have a primary tablet. It does not use Wi-Fi. It doesn't use cellular. It collects all the data, and then you Bluetooth sync it to the primary tablet, and then it downloads all this data to the primary tablet, and then the primary tablet, you can collect the data at the end of the day or over lunch or however you want to collect it, and then the primary tablet can spit out a CSV file, and then that you can go out of the venue, connect to a Wi-Fi hotspot to your phone or something, and then upload it to the cloud, and then you can do whatever you want to do with that spreadsheet. It's, I think there's a lot of really great scouting tools out there now. In fact, if you dig back through the playlist for the roundtable, we've had at least 1, maybe 2 entire roundtables about scouting. And there's some really cool and really awesome tools out there now. I would say FRC Crawler is sort of a basic tool at this point, but it still complies with the rules of keeping bandwidth low. So you're not interfering with the robots. Caleb, if Caleb's still listening, did you work on doing an update to FRC Crawler? We've done a couple of updates over the year, and at this point, it probably needs another kind of just framework update to stay in line with the Android APIs.
I know Brian is working on the new version, but me and Afomi are working on a .NET Maui.
Okay.
Just like complete rewrite, and I got pretty far. I just didn't complete it before school started.
Okay. And so .NET Maui would allow it to run on iOS or Android. I think Brian's working on a Kotlin version, which would only run on Android. Anyway, that's what we've used over the years. But go back in the playlist because there were some really awesome scouting tools. They do require data connection because it's all up in the cloud. So your students have to use their own phones, or you got to get SIMs for all of your scouting tablets. But for offline, the FRC crawlers, it has been what we've been using, and then you get your CSV and you can slice and dice it any way you want with your spreadsheet tools. Oh, I have another point on the budget thing in terms of other teams. So for Nightcrawler, we always budget for build, programming, and media. We've budgeted in the past for a monopod, for GoPro mounts, for backpack and equipment, transportation stuff for our media team. So we always try to set aside budgets so that our media team can do good things and do the things that they want to do. Something else that we have done in the past, and we did this year, was if we have money left over at the end of the year, then we look at what is our kind of nice to haves. And this year we ended up buying 4 3D printers with the goal of if our students show competence with 3D printing and show that they're willing to invest extra time into CAD, that they could check out a printer and take it home. So we bought the $200 Bamboo Minis for $200. That's a pseudo safe risk to send a piece of equipment home with a student. I don't think we would do that with an $800 printer, but a $200 printer is a little bit easier to let walk out the door, and with a student who's shown competency and shown the investment to go for it. We also bought more extra laptops with the money that was left over. So we'll use funds at the end of the year to do some of those extra purchases if we have some available.
Hey, quick follow-up question on that, Scott. You said 3 red, 3 blue, a primary, and then you said 8 tablets. Did you say a spare, or what was that?
Yeah, backup. Especially like at champs. I mean, those champs, those bleachers, everything falls through those bleachers. We also get the gigantic foam cases that you could literally drop off an airplane and the thing would survive unless it lands perfectly wrong. And guaranteed one of them is going to land perfectly wrong. So yeah, we have a spare.
The cases are for travel, you're saying?
No, They're like the cases you would give a toddler. Not to say our students require toddler-like cases, but they're the big foam cases. Because, you know, when you're in the stands, and you guys have all been there, especially at champs, when you've got those open bleachers, you set it down and somebody behind you kicks it and it falls right through the bleachers and it's down 15, 20 feet. And so we bought the big foam cases. They're embarrassing to have and use, but they keep our equipment safe.
And then the other thing I was wondering was, do you, I just took a quick look at the webpage you linked, and the link outs from there. Do you have an overview somewhere? I didn't see a discussion of the tablets, even generically. Do you have that on a webpage there somewhere that I just missed?
You mean like requirements?
Well,
Like what
requirements, or just that what you were just talking about, the fact that you selected, you know, that you picked 8 tablets for that good reason that you're going through. Is that on?
I don't know that the system requirements actually might be in Google Play. I'm not sure, but I will tell you that we bought $30 Fire tablets, and then there is a Fire. So Amazon Fire tablets do not by default get access to Google Play. But if you do a little searching on the internet, you'll find it's really easy to add Google Play to a Fire tablet. And so you add Google Play to the Fire tablet, and then you can download all Google Play apps, and you can download FRC Crawler onto a Fire tablet. I mean, they're Android. They just aren't a Google Android. So it takes one extra step in order to be able to download Google Play apps. Oh,
great. Thank you.
Oh, there you go. I thought you were muted for a minute.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Gears, sorry about that sidebar. Appreciate your patience.
That's the point of all of this. So no apology. No apology necessary.
I did get a piece of feedback on our app. You know, I was under the impression that a lot of teams had just kind of moved on from our app because there's so many other great apps out there. But there was somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, we love using your app because it gives us the raw data. And then we build all these data analytic tools on the backside to slice and dice the CSV and pull out all these data analytics out of the CSV." And so their big thing was they liked using FRC Crawler because it gave them quick and easy access to a raw data file, a CSV file. And then they had put tons of effort into, I don't know if they're using machine learning or AI or what they were doing to kind of get their analytics. That's something I hadn't considered before. So, you know, like I said, there's a ton of great scouting apps out there. I don't want to push FRC Crawler too hard, but it might be worth taking a look at.
Right. And, you know, Jeremy, I would comment, it's interesting. The notebooks are in line with your keep it simple philosophy that was on your early slide. But I realize it's hard to stay simple necessarily.
Yeah, it's that question of ceiling and resources, and it's what all of this. It's, you know, when you look at the game rules, you have to have the same conversation of what ceiling do you want, and then what are your resources to push that ceiling higher. So I think the notebooks worked really well for Roseville. I think for a multi-day competition, that system might kind of get to a certain point. But you know, I don't know if they work. Maybe that's what we'll do. I don't know. We're that's still a work in progress for sure.
And I just want to check and make sure. Notebook has multiple meanings these days. You were talking about paper and pencil notebook, right?
Correct. Paper and pencil. Yeah. Yep. Okay. 8:13. Just conscious of this. So in July we met as kind of sub teams virtually over Zoom. And then all team members were invited to those, and student leadership I'm putting strongly encouraged. I mean, they were basically required to attend, but I didn't want to write required because that felt kind of strong. Then after all of those, which I'll show you what this means on a spreadsheet in a minute. After all of those, we met with the booster club and like really hashed out, you know, trying to balance. I think this kind of goes to Dominic's question of like, we tried to balance out some of the things that each sub team had asked to purchase. And then we met again after that to discuss fundraising separately. We were going to try and do it all in one, but we literally spent like 2 or 3 hours just talking about the purchasing side. And then we had to have a whole nother meeting about fundraising. But We do require captains to attend those meetings, and leads are what we call the division leads, whatever, sub-team leads. Are welcome to attend those meetings too. We require the captains because we want student involvement. Student engagement is the most important part of all of this. So it was really important that they were there. So the meat and potatoes, I did a little deleting on this, just full disclosure. This fundraising tab is empty, and I'm not trying to be anyway, whatever. We had some kind of different categories for fundraising, so left the categories here as an example, but that's what we used. And then this is our budget. We separated each purchase into need, recommend, and want. What's the difference between a need and a recommend? I could talk to you for 15 minutes about the difference probably, but we tried to just go through and separate them out. So this is our projected budget, and then there's tabs for each one. So these are all the things, and some of them are blank because we just didn't go through the work of actually finding a link for 1032. A little too big. There we go. Highly recommend, and then really want. I shared this spreadsheet. I shared my slideshow with Scott, which maybe he can put on the YouTube description after, if people want the link to this.
Oh, that's a good idea.
This is a copy, so this is like free for people, or people to look at. This is what we did for controls. Lime green. I literally copied this like 10 minutes before the present or tonight started. These are what we bought so far. So if you're curious about what gears have bought so far, now you know. But so we just did this for each tab. Some of them are longer, some of them are shorter. Like scouting and strategy is really short. Event budget stuff, and then this one I have spent kind of a lot of time on, and this helps again just plan out all of it. So each year I go through and update the dates and the costs and stuff, and this just helps us kind of figure out what we want to do. So so this is the spreadsheet of all of it, and then we also have a sponsorship packet, which I know I'm kind of skipping around here. We actually had to do this for the Gene Haas Foundation grant, and I'm really grateful that they made us do it because this has been so helpful for sponsor visits. And we updated a little bit. I think there's some more picture updating that we'll do and verbiage and stuff. But this is also going to be linked in the slideshow for people to check out on their own if they want. But we made this in Canva, which is a graphic design software. What do other teams do for budget meetings, budget tracking, sponsorship pack, anything like we've shown? Do any teams have any recommendations or any nuggets they can share?
I'll jump in, I guess. We do something sort of similar spreadsheet wise. A year or 2 years ago, we enacted an RFP system where we have to have sign-offs by 2 or 3 captains and mentors in order to push a purchase through. We saw 3 years ago some crazy spending going on, especially during the build season at the very heated endpoint where we were spending huge money on expedited shipping for single purchases, things like that. So we are trying to bundle more just for what that's worth.
Since I'm the treasurer for Nightcrawler, I can share some things. We do a budget meeting every year. We were late this year due to several scheduling conflicts. So we're going to do our budget meeting, I think, next week. And all students and student leaders and mentors are part of that discussion. And we look at what we spent last year. We sort of make adjustments of how we think things should go this year in terms of spend and money. We don't budget anywhere near to the line item things that you put in your budget, Jeremy. We track them to the line item things, but we don't budget to those line items. We have, it sounds absurd, but we have like 100 item categories in our budget of what things could fall into. So it goes from robot parts to weak cereal, concession supplies, down the list of everything that we would need to do. In fact, I will paste this. If you're ever having trouble sleeping at night, I created 5 hours of accounting training in the hopes that I could someday pass off the treasury. But we basically created an accounting system for for Nightcrawler. I'm using it actually for my other business, which is Conquer as well. But I've been keeping my books for my own businesses for almost 20 years now. And so I built a system for Nightcrawler, and we did it in Google Sheets so that all of the adults would have access to all of the accounting at any point in time. So you get rid of all that fiduciary responsibility and potential for, all embezzling and all that other stuff that you need to do when you're a nonprofit. So it's sort of anybody can get access to it at any point in time, but only the treasurer's has right access to do the updates. But then it also makes it really easy because it's a spreadsheet to do any kind of budget report you want. So we also send a where are we now every month out to all the students and all the captains so they can see, to all the captains and all the mentors so they can see where we at with our budget, how are we doing. If in the middle of the year we say, oh, we're definitely not going to get this sponsor, or it looks like we're going to spend less money than we thought we were going to spend. It also has the ability to do a projection so that you maintain your original budget, but then you can do a modification, which we call a projection. So you can kind of get an idea of where you're going to end at the end of the year. It's huge. It's super complicated. Well, I don't think it's super complicated, but there's a ton of detail there because I wanted it to be training. So that someone else could take over our treasury, but it also is there for anyone who wants to copy it if they feel like they're struggling with their managing their finances and don't want to pay online licensing so everybody can have access to their QuickBooks Online or whatever they might be using for their online software.
We're actually using a version of that, Scott, because I went through all of the videos that you.
And you stayed awake?
I'm a CPA and I do a lot of tax stuff by trade, so I geek out on those type of things. But we've streamlined it down a little bit for us, and we have been trying to work with the students more to come up with the budget and also to be writing the grants. We had the benefit for a couple of years where Miss Ruth was our treasurer and she writes grants. She works for Head Start, and that's kind of her bread and butter, and she was able to help transfer some of that knowledge to one student when her term was coming to an end, and I think they've written 3 or 4 now and gotten 3 of them, so pretty good. But spreadsheets, we also, from a purchase standpoint, all purchase needs to go, authorization needs to go through at least one of the coaches, and then it gets put on the spreadsheet. And last year we started where the Booster Club, myself, I ordered the parts and have them shipped to my house and then send them with my kid to school. And it has cut down on things being lost in central services big time and helped with the turnaround. And that has been a game changer for the team to be able to get things, and also trying to bundle stuff. That was a killer when you're like, we just ordered from them last week. How did we not know we were going to need whatever it is? I don't know what all the boxes, what's in all of the things that come here, but that has worked, and that'd be something I think we perpetuate, whether that's me or someone else. The term is Booster President kind of comes to an end next spring. We'll have to figure that out, but it's taken the burden off of our coaches that are employed at the school big time, and allows for like Saturday deliveries and those crucial things. We found that really helpful to put that through one person.
And that's one reason why our budget was so granular, is like, if we need to buy a bunch from Rev, like we'll have all the Rev links in a row, and you can just add to cart, add to cart, add to cart, add to cart. you know, yeah, it was the meetings with the students were interesting. I don't know, Charlie and Sam were at all of them, but they had some suggestions that ended up going on the wants list at the very bottom. But yeah, it was good.
I've been wondering, how do teams manage like getting new electronics in terms of like, I know CTRE just dropped new things and WCP just dropped a new motor or whatever. And our team captain is very has a priority of making sure that we have the necessary things to stay competitive, as he likes to put it. And so I was wondering, like, how do you sort of manage balancing getting all of the new electronics while also, staying within budget, especially since you can't really predict what new electronics are going to be released.
I guess I'll take a crack at. We've been struggling with the same thing. So having a lot of discussions. It drops on Friday afternoon and the chat's buzzing about it. But I think some of it's honestly just analyzing like what's the risk of not doing it, right? Like what's the worst case scenario if you can't afford this or you can't buy it. And once you have that, then you can really think about the risks of it. And so risks are new product doesn't work. Has been happening, or like a bugs in it. I think we were lucky with the Krakens that they pretty much worked right away. But there's been a couple failed not failed, but rocky product launches, and that's not fun in week 3 of build season. And then of course the other risk is cost. So basically, I think those are and then probably thirds, you're learning how fast can you really learn this new thing in the heat of build season, and what's basically it. Then it's just a matter of saying what's the upside of doing it versus the 3 negatives. I mean, you look at the new Kraken that came out, and really the biggest thing is weight. And if you're a team that's always pushing weight, maybe that half pound matters. Disappointing the cost is pretty much not any different, which, whatever. That's just normal now, 200 for a motor, but side rant. All right, that's all I have on that.
I can also talk about our experience. I'm also one of the people who likes to stay competitive with our stuff, much to the dismay of our business team. But last year, we're 8234 Panthenators from Spring Lake Park. But last year, we kind of went through a process of modernizing our equipment or electronics stuff, because before last fall, if our motor options were 2 Falcons and Sims, and it would have worked, but Sims aren't competitive anymore, and they're just annoying to work with, depending on who you're asking. But yeah, and then we bought a decent amount of Neos just because they're probably the cheapest option of the brushless motors, and they worked. And then we also bought the Rev power distribution hub just to get all the features that added. And everyone on our team hated the old power distribution panels, like, what is it, connectors on it, and like sticking a screwdriver in there. So our stuff had just kind of fallen out of date, so that's why we upgraded.
We're at 8:28, Scott. How are we doing?
Well, if you're ready to wrap it up, then that works for me. If you have other things that you want to talk about, we can push on a little bit.
No, I'm good. We're actually we're gonna have a leadership meeting on Zoom for our team here at 8:30, which it's totally fine. But at 8:30.
Then I think this is a great time to wrap it up. A big applause. Thank you very much to the Gears, to the mentors and the students who participated. Thank you so much to the students that contributed to the conversation tonight. I mentioned at the top of the recording that was a piece of feedback, is we need more students not only to be on the call but to participate. So I thank all of those who hopped on and braved the camera to show their face and contribute their conversation. Thank you so much for being part of the call tonight. And I really love hearing about how other teams function. So if your team hasn't done it yet and you're willing to and interested, please sign up to host a Get to Know My Team talk and come and tell us about how things work for your team. I like this approach too, of here's some general stuff about your team and we want to talk about finances or budgeting or whatever. I thought that was a great approach as well. So if you feel like there's no way we could fill an hour and a half talking about our team, pick something else. So something you're either struggling with or something you think you're really good at, and then kind of host a mini talk in that regard as well, because this was a great format. I really enjoyed this. Thank you. All right. With that, so next week, I looked yesterday. I don't think we have a topic yet. So please, someone, if you're willing to, please sign up to host a conversation so that I don't need to come up with something. I'd really appreciate it. All right, everyone, have a great week. See you next week.
That's it for this week's FRC Roundtable. Join us live all season long, every Sunday night. Visit the website at team2052.com/roundtable to sign up for weekly invites. In the meantime, keep building, keep learning, and we'll see you next week.